Hello everyone, my name is Jesus and today I will be demonstrating my final project for Professor Kanemoto's online cpsc 39 class. For my final project, I created a text-based adventure game that runs directly from Replit. In this game, the player finds himself in a forest. They encounter a fork on the trail, and depending on which direction the player chooses, either to go left or right, they will encounter different situations, meet different people, and they must find a way to navigate these situations to escape the forest. For my first algorithm, I created a find min max items algorithm, which basically takes the items from the merchant or the tavern inventory and finds the cheapest and most expensive items. The time complexity of this algorithm is O(n). The space complexity is O(1). Here is a little screenshot of this algorithm. For my second algorithm, I created a buy item algorithm in which the player can, buy the items that the merchant or the tavern has to sell. It is contingent on if the player has enough gold and if the item does exist. If the item does not exist or if the player does not have enough gold, then I have created different print statements for those situations. Again, this algorithm has an O(n) time complexity and a O(1) space complexity. Here's a little screenshot of that algorithm from the tavern class, and here's a screenshot of that from the merchant class. And for my third algorithm, I created a sort inventory by price, which is a bubble sort that, iterates through the list over and over again, compares the items and swaps them if they're in the wrong order until no more swaps are needed. For best case time complexity, it's O(n). The space complexity is O(1). Now, as for the data structures, for the first data structure, I use an array list. Basically, it's an array that can grow and shrink dynamically when if needed. Here is a screenshot of the array list. I'm not entirely sure why it's underlined in Replit. It doesn't return any errors when I run it. But for my second data structure, I used a linked list, which allows for fast insertion and deletions, especially in the middle of the list. Here's a little screenshot of that. Again, I'm not entirely sure why it's underlined here. And for my third data structure, I used a pair class. Essentially, a pair is a data structure that compares two related items or values. So, for example, the items from the inventory from the merchant, the tavern CSV files. For this data structure, I did have a lot of help from. I watched a few YouTube videos. I have a software engineering friend that helped me out with it, and of course ChatGPT, because I was not too familiar with this data structure at first, but after all these resources, I do know quite a bit about it now. And here is a little screenshot of that. So for the design process, I spent the first few days working on a script, if you would call it. I really do enjoy story-driven games, so I wanted to create one that had a working story, nothing too in depth, but just it just had to have some story for me. And then I went to implement the algorithms and finally the data structures, like the array list, linked list, the pair data structure, For the potential improvements, I would have liked to incorporate a hash table. However, I did start the Zybook a little late on that, so I was not too familiar with hash tables, and I was running out of time, so I chose not to go forward with it. And for another potential improvement, as you will see in a second, I have far too many system.out print statements in my main file, main.java file. I would have liked to figure out a way to get rid of some of those. I spoke to Professor Kanemoto, who recommended that I use a queue, but like I said, time constraints, I was not able to do that. Who knows, maybe in the summer I will revisit this project and maybe I will finally, improve upon it. But yeah, let's look at the Replit code. So here we have the main.java file, and as you can see, look at all these system.out print statements that I have here. Jeez. But yeah, this is the main.java file. This is the pair.java file. I did cite it. Hopefully this is the correct citation for ChatGPT. Like I said, it was a huge help with this pair class, or data structure. Here's the merchant.java file. Again, I'm not entirely sure why all this is underlined. It doesn't give me any errors. This is the character.java file that has, setters and getters. The tavern.java file. And both the inventory and tavern menu CSV files. Now, if we run it, it introduces you to what the game is, asks you for your name, so I'm going to go ahead and type Jesus. And it asks you, it tells you that you counter the fork on the trail, which way do you want to go? I'm going to go ahead and say right. Would you like to buy something from the merchant? Let's go ahead and say no. And this is a little story that I created for it, but let's try to run it again. Again, I'm going to type Jesus, so I'm going to go right. And let's say I choose to look at the merchant's inventory this time, so yes. Ask you if you want to buy something, say soup. And then you bought soup for 15 gold, your remaining gold is 85. The merchant tells you about a shortcut through the forest. Do you want to take the shortcut? I'm going to go ahead and say yes. And here, again, short story, basically this game entirely, like, there's a lot of like bad options that you could choose. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for listening. Goodbye.